Hello, I'm Joyce Davis, Director of Communications for the City of Harrisburg, and this is the first show in a series for Channel 20 that will be called Who's Who in Harrisburg. Who's Who in Harrisburg will be unapologetically positive about the city and its people, and for good reason. Harrisburg is a city blessed with dedicated public servants, innovative entrepreneurs, and tireless community activists, all focused on making Harrisburg a model for the nation. In the weeks ahead, we plan to have conversations with public officials, with business people, with educators, as well as religious and community leaders, offering insights into the thoughts, motivations, and personalities of the people shaping our capital city. For the inaugural Who's Who in Harrisburg, we have with us today Jackie Parker, who's Executive Director of Community and Economic Development. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you, Joyce. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's good to have you here, and I think it's just the first obvious question. I mean, I know how closely you work with the mayor. I know that you have grasped his vision and are moving the city ahead, but what brought you to Harrisburg, and why are you so motivated to help the city?
Well, a couple of things. I live in Lebanon, so I've lived in central Pennsylvania for almost 40 years. I know Harrisburg, have become a neighbor of Harrisburg, but more importantly, I also worked in Harrisburg under the Rendell administration. I had the opportunity to assist all third-class cities, Harrisburg being a third-class city, and of course, the capital is right here. So I assisted at that time with a lot of different projects and became familiar with neighborhoods, developers, strategies, and when this position opened up, of course, I wanted to work for Mayor Pappenfuss. He had a brand new vision for the city, and I wanted to be a part of that.
That's exactly right. I know he's delighted to have you a part of that, but that's the professional. Let's move to the personal. And I happen to know that in addition to being this hard-charging businesswoman or professional, that you're also a mother and a grandmother with grandpuppies,
I call them.
Grandpuppies.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Well, I have 3 adult sons, and they all went to Lebanon High School, all now living still in Pennsylvania. So the oldest one has 2 children. They live in Hummelstown. Second one has 3 children. They live in Yardley. And the youngest son lives in Pittsburgh and has the 2 grandpuppies. And so when we get together, it really is a lot of fun. And I really enjoy that time with the grandbabies.
Oh, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Even the ones with the 4 paws.
Even the 4-pawed
Yeah, that's
puppies.
right.
Okay. Now listen, I understand also that you have a unique heritage. Filipino, Polish American. Now you don't get that very often, so tell us a little bit about how that unique blend has shaped you.
Yes, my mother is from the Philippines, and my father is from Monongahela, Pennsylvania, and they met during the war. He was a soldier in the Philippines, and that's where they met. And they came back over. My mother was a teacher. My father finished his studies at Carnegie Tech at the time. It was called Carnegie Tech, and he became an engineer, and then they got married. And yes, I do think that the cultures do have a lot to do with your upbringing. Certainly respectful of the elderly, your parents, also being responsible to your community and the surroundings, taking care of your properties and taking care of things that are yours. There's a lot of pride, a lot of personal pride, and I think both my mother and my father, instilled that in both my brother and myself.
And you bring that to your work, that whole ethic there. That's excellent.
Yes, I think so. And I think my parents were always happy that I chose a life of public service.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Now, there's another interesting thing about you. I don't think many people would know, and that is that you once were a classical pianist.
Yes.
Now, do you still play, or where are we with that?
I don't. But no, and when I was younger, my mother actually was a piano teacher, and she, of course, wanted my brother and I to play the piano, so we always had a piano in the house. And then I just began taking lessons, classical piano, and from a variety of instructors that were in the area in Flint, Michigan. And I did have the opportunity to play with the Flint Junior Symphony when I was 16 at a competition, and I won that. I also attended Interlochen music camp for 2 summers, and very much a part of my youth.
Yeah.
But then, as things happen, you kind of go in different directions. So I have a piano in the house, and my children played, and I'm trying to teach my grandchildren to play too, but I don't play classically anymore or perform.
Well, you know what? You might need to practice. We might get you back here with the piano at some
Oh
point.
boy, oh dear.
Well, look, one other thing. Listen, one question that I'm going to ask everyone that comes on Who's Who in Harrisburg is, if there's one thing about you that if someone really to know something about you that they would need to know, what would that be? What drives you? I mean, what is it?
Well, I think over the years I've always had a curiosity about people. I've always enjoyed people. I think everybody has a story, and I'm just nosy enough and interested, to say, well, I wonder what that story is. And so how that translates into my position now, or as I developed my adult professions, was public service. And I think that is very important. I have a passion for public service, so that when you meet people and you hear their stories, how can we better help the greater good? How can we help these people get to their goals? And I think that's what public service is all about. It's government helping individuals, groups, for a better quality of life.
Yeah, I think considering the long hours you put in and that you got to have a passion or it would not be doable. Finally, just one last question. You have been in the job for more than a year now, and you've seen a lot of things happen. There's been a lot of hurdles that you've overcome. So where do you see Harrisburg going now? I mean, is it positive? I mean, where do you see the city going?
I think it's very positive, and I believe that this administration has encouraged that discussion with everybody, whether it's residents in neighborhoods, whether it's business people, nonprofits. Everybody who has a special stake in Harrisburg now has a voice, and I think that this administration has been able to bring them together at the table to say, what are your issues, how can we help? And I think that is what is going to make this a very positive administration, and also positive for the city to keep it moving forward. I think we're moving forward in that direction. It's because the people are now involved, and they now have a voice, and they're now, they can complain, but somebody can listen, and somebody can say, we'll refer you, we'll guide you. But I think that's what this administration has done so far.
Well, and I know you guys have really been keen and really eager to get people engaged in that comprehensive planning process. So I know you've gotten on me to make sure the communication method. So anyway, thank you very much for taking time, because I know how busy you are, to come and to share a little bit of who you are with the people of Harrisburg. And thank you very much for tuning in. And we hope to bring you more people like Jackie and others who are working hard to make Harrisburg the model for the nation. Thank you. See you next time.